Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast after another Sunderland game and the fourth defeat of the season. And I'm joined by Dan and John. And as I said there, John, fourth defeat of the season. But yesterday feels a lot worse than just a defeat.
Yeah, it's quite a sore one. It's hard to put it into words. Maybe after the Portsmouth game, we sort of thought, we need to learn a few things, and obviously those things haven't really been learned, shall we say? I'm sure we'll get into the performance at the moment, but I think just about everyone was off the pace yesterday, and in this league, doesn't matter who you are, if you've got one or two off the pace, then you're more likely to lose. And if everyone's off the pace, then you will get smashed. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah. And Dan, when you look at some of the games that we've lost this season, you've got the Burton game, which was the first defeat. And, there was positives to take from that one. It was a good performance where we were just unlucky. You've got the Portsmouth defeat where people did kind of write that off a little bit because, the surface was kind of unplayable at the time and people didn't really look too much into it. But then you've got the Charlton defeat at home, just a terrible performance. And again, yesterday, a 5-1 defeat in League One as Sunderland. There's just no excuses you could even think of. It was just a shocking game, shocking performance, and we got what we deserved in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think any team in the league shipping 5 goals would be absolutely disappointed. So for a team like us to do it when we want to get into the automatics it's crazy, man. I don't think any player came out of that game with kind of a good estimate of themselves, bar maybe Ross Stewart, who had a goal and then maybe could have had a second to equalise it. Maybe things could have been different, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a long time since I've felt this team after a Sunderland match.
Yeah, and just looking at, obviously we'll get into the game a little bit more, John. But what was the game plan yesterday? The team selection was, again, hindsight is a good thing, but at times questionable. The subs didn't really make too much sense. We were getting battered in the game, and we brought Bailey Wright on as an extra defender and put an attacking player with Gooch at wing back. We never got out of our own half. There was just nothing from Sunderland whatsoever, apart from maybe a 10-minute spell.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. What sort of plan was. I mean, to me, it looked like we almost went toe to toe with them, and we were just below par, and they were on top form. I thought Rathbone in the middle for them had our midfield on toast just constantly. I think we had
I could be wrong on this
players.
one, but is that the Rathbone that was at Rochdale one year? Because I'm sure when we played Rochdale in the same league, that he was kind of the player that we picked as their, kind of star player and said he looked a decent player.
Yeah, I think that's him, but that's all I heard, especially in the first half. He just absolutely tore us apart. We were, you can watch all the highlights, all you like, but we're second to every first ball, second ball. It doesn't matter if you're sort of 5 seconds behind everything, which seemed to be yesterday, you're going to get punished, and we're not. It wasn't like they were just better than us. We were poor and they were on fire, and they wanted it more, like you say, with the the tactics and what was the plan. I think we've gone toe to toe. Obviously, Embleton playing, I probably would have liked to have seen maybe Aidan O'Brien in there for a bit of physicality and to keep the ball, up the pitch a little bit more. But it seems we've gone there a little bit, maybe complacent. Johnson obviously admitted it post match and said he got it wrong to start with, and he got it wrong in the second half. So that's, there's big question marks over that for me.
Yeah. And it is, like I say, it is the fourth defeat of the season. We've lost 4-0 against Portsmouth. It's another heavy defeat, Dan. We've beaten some of the promotion rivals, your Wickham. We beat at home fairly comfortably. Wigan, we've played away. We beat them away, beat them in the cup as well. But winning some of them is just not good enough. In this league especially, it's our fourth season in this division. We've learnt this the hard way. You need to be able to beat every single team you play. And performances like that yesterday, play like that every game of the season, I don't know where the next win's going to come from. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case, but just basing off that performance, that wouldn't beat anyone in this league.
Yeah, it's typical of us, isn't it? We go out, we have a really, really good game against a championship side in QPR, side pushing for promotion in the league above us. And then we go and ship 5 goals to Rotherham.
Yeah.
A couple of days later. It's very typical of us.
It's a proper strange one as well, though, because I think I said this after not after the Crew game, after the Charlton game, but momentum in football is one of the most talked about things. You're coming off a massive win away to Crew, a great performance, one of the best of the season. Diaku getting a goal, Ross Stewart getting 2. The momentum's there, and then you go and lose to Charlton, and you think, right, well, could we bounce back against QPR? We did, good performance, matched them. Obviously the questionable decision that went our way, but ultimately I think we possibly deserved to win that game on the performance.
Yeah.
And then the next game, you go into Rotherham, and then this happens.
Yeah, and I think not only does Lee Johnson have a lot to answer for, the players do as well. Like I think I don't want to see McGeady in the armband ever again after that. Like getting the yellow card just after half time, and then a stupid red 10 minutes later. And I'm a really big McGeady fan, but if you're hunting for top 2, you just can't be at that in any game at any level. Yeah.
But with that red card as well, there was a real sense of McGeady just didn't want to be part of the team that lost 5-1. There was no reason to make that challenge. He was never going to get the ball. He was fully aware he was on a yellow card. There's just no reason to go in that challenge unless, like I say, you just want an early shower.
Yeah, there's no excuse for it. No excuse for the performance. No excuse for the red card. No excuse for the substitutions. Really, I think Lee Johnson was really overcomplicating things. I think Evans for 09 at halftime would have done, rather than bringing in, who was it, Bailey Wright and Gooch as well. I think.
But was it Evans for 09? Because I thought Evans came on later on. Was it not Bailey Wright for 09?
Oh no, I'm just saying. I think something like that would have been better.
Right,
just overcomplicating it. I think
Switch
it was Gooch and Wright that came on at halftime. Yeah, but I don't know. I think he overthought it. And again, I know we touched on this already, but we will be holding too complacent, and you can't do that in League One.
Yeah. Well, don't really want to talk about the goals, really, but we will. As a kind of collection, because they were all the same, John. Yeah. Simple, schoolboy errors, silly defending, poor defending. One of the first things you learn when you start playing football is to stop a cross when you're a fullback. We didn't do that all game, and 4 of their 5 goals literally came from one cross into the box, and that was it. That was how simple it was for them.
Yeah, very simple. I wouldn't have said they had to work, that hard. I think if the whole performance is probably summed up with Sirkin, when he just he ball watches and just stands there, and they literally just flick the ball down the line. And again, Flanagan's not goal side of his man, and the goal's just got an easy tap. And like you say, that's probably all 4 of the goals exactly the same. Whereas we've been saying for weeks, Sirkin's been decent left back, and Winchester at right back, and all of a sudden you play a half decent team in theory in Rotherham, and they've done their homework. To be fair, they've absolutely hammered us. They've stopped us playing the ball out, and literally just. But yeah, the goals just unforgivable for me. All of them. Even I'll probably even let Hoffman off the last one. It's just because that's the way he just plays. Even though it frustrated me most of the game with his quick distributions when we needed to maybe just settle it down. But yeah, the other ones it's just basic, aren't they? Then we love giving away crosses. Go on, get your cross in, and if they've got people in the box who are going to bully. Don't get me wrong, Flanagan's been good all season, so's Doyle, but they absolutely got bullied by your very, I'd say, half average League One strikers. So definitely a case of, they do need to take a good look at themselves back there.
Yeah. And you mentioned it there, and I think it's probably worth mentioning again about, the kind of Hoffman a little bit. He's still young. He's come from Bayern Munich, where he's playing with significantly better ball players in defence. But even at 4-1 down, even at 5-1 down, he just insisted on playing it to Flanagan, to Bailey Wright at the back when we just couldn't get out our own half. And I think a lot of their attacks literally came from that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and I think you even see at one point, I think is it Corey Evans? I think calls Hoffman and says just get up the pitch, and it has to call Flanagan and Doyle even out. So obviously the main game plan, and a bit of an experience maybe even in Flanagan, of let's just keep playing the way we did like at Portsmouth. We just kept playing and kept playing, even 4-0 down, kept playing. Whereas it took Corey Evans, the captain of the club, to sort of step in and go, well, no, get a shot out of the pitch because this ain't working. They're second, they're first to every ball, and we're second, and it's almost like an immaturity. And then, like Dan was saying, it goes through, who was your captain for the day? McGeady didn't really do anything, hasn't really done anything all season for me, and we probably look better on balance with him outside. But your leader goes and does something stupid like that, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of the players. If that's Elliot Embleton doing that, we're saying, oh, he's only young,
Yeah.
But then, it's Aidan McGeady, Champions League, player, and he's played at the very top, and then for him to have the armband and do that, I wouldn't even have him in the team, let alone the armband anyway.
Yeah. And another thing, it wasn't necessarily with the goals, Dan, but some of them did kind of come down to this, and it could have been a lot more than 5-1 when you take this into consideration. But again, on Hoffman, for someone who's, as big as he is, he's from a club that, the keepers have always naturally been very good at what they do. He seems glued to a spot for crosses and for corners, and I think at least one of their goals, was a header from maybe 5 yards out, maybe 3 yards out. And, as a keeper there, I think he's 6'2", 6'3", possibly even taller. I'm not entirely sure, but you've got to come and collect that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the kind of thing where, like, if your goalkeeper when you're playing FIFA is doing that, you're throwing your controller at the screen because it doesn't happen, and it shouldn't happen. Like, no professional goalkeeper should be rooted to the spot like that. It's not one that's come from Bayern Munich anyway.
Yeah.
And I know he's young, and I know I saw training footage a while ago. They were working on him coming out and kind of being physical. I think they had the rugby pads out at one point with him. But it's not good enough. And after Burgess' performance against QPR, you'd have to wonder what Lee Johnson is thinking, because Lee Burgess didn't really put a foot wrong, did he?
Against QPR, no.
No.
It's an interesting one, though. It comes down to that confidence thing, though, doesn't it? Hoffman.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times I've had a podcast and after a game and said Hoffman made this save, didn't do anything wrong, 7, 8 out of 10 performance. Can you drop a player after one bad performance? Because if so, you have an entirely different starting 11 for the next game.
Yeah, no.
Bar maybe Ross Stewart.
I don't think you can when he's playing on confidence, and that would completely ruin him if we were to drop him now. But you have to wonder where his head's at after conceding 5 as well.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say he's done that too many times in his career.
Yeah. There was one, I say positive, it was more of a consolation. But we did get an equalising goal, believe it or not, where Ross Stewart, it was a good goal, good finish. And at that time, John, Sunderland, it was probably against the run of play, that goal, but it was a well-worked goal. I think it was Dan Neil played into Stewart and just kind of Ronaldinho'd his way into the box and finished into the bottom corner. Good finish. And from that point onwards, we looked like we could have actually got something out of the game for the next 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, but moments change games. Doesn't matter what way they're going. And we know we've got the quality going forward. In Dan Neil and Ross Stewart, and to score, and bring us on level terms. We all would have thought, yeah, we'll take this at the moment because we're not playing very well. But then ultimately, I think didn't they score quite soon after?
Yeah.
And then we obviously had our one chance that's hit the post. So again, that would have been, probably would have been very, very lucky, to have been either 2-1 up or 2-2. But apart from that, we didn't really.
It was about 15 minutes after we scored. They scored their second, and I think that was just a few minutes before half time, which is probably the worst time you can concede as well.
Yeah, that's the sort of time to keep it tight. A bit of, again, we're going back to, I think, a little bit of inexperience to maybe just manage the game. Because we probably, I did say last week, we maybe would have taken a point, and then hopefully a win on Tuesday, or sort of sort of the other way around, and we've almost gone a little bit open and toe to toe with them. And it's ultimately it's cost us. It's an absolute landslide, as we saw.
Yeah. Well, it did finish 5-1, as has been well documented. And I've seen on Twitter as well, I think every North East team yesterday or at the weekend actually lost as well. Chelsea obviously battered Newcastle. Carlisle got battered off Northampton. So it just wasn't a good day for North East football in general. But I think I said it after the game on Twitter, Dan. A lot of the blame was on the young players from the game, saying, the inexperienced, these are the games that you need to rely on your senior pros. And the point I made was, if you were to pick 5 players this season who have impressed you the most, I'd argue 3 of them are probably going to be the young players we brought in, the likes of Dan Neil, Callum Doyle, Sirkin. You've got Stewart and Winchester as well, who are more senior than obviously the kids. But if you were to label a few that have disappointed this season, I think McGeady's probably top on that list, and he is literally the senior of the team. He's the captain of the team. In games like that, he's the kind of player that you'd expect to get you out of the rubbish that you're in. They're the players to blame more so for the failures so far this season than the young players. At least I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like the likes of Callum Doyle, I think Sirkin as well, Dan Neil, they've been excellent all season. They really have. And I think the last thing you want to be looking at after a game like that is the Sunderland on Twitter, because we do have a very reactive fan base. I saw people calling for Johnson out as well. And it's kind of, come on, you know what I mean? I do think we have a very overreactive fan base, although probably was justified after the 5-1 loss. I can see where they're coming from, in a bit of experience might have helped yesterday, but at the same time you can't start slating Callum Doyle and Sirkin and those lads when they're the team that have done so well so far this season. Like we were in a great position up until yesterday, really.
Yeah. And Johnson, he is not kind of, I'm not sure what the word is, but he is up for criticism, John, at times. Any manager in the world is. But like Dan said there is somewhat of an overreaction after not just yesterday, but the Portsmouth game, the Charlton game. We're not going to win every game this season, albeit I don't think anyone expected us to lose 5-1 this season, but we're not going to win every game this season. That's 4 defeats. And people say, well, if going off the record that we have so far this season, we'll end the season with X amount of defeats, and that's not enough to go up. And I think someone worked it out as, with the kind of points per game we have now, we'd end on something like 14 defeats. But the one positive from this season is turning the draws into wins. I think last season we had 17 draws and I think it was like 9 defeats. So we didn't lose many games last season, yet we still finished 4th and didn't get promoted. It really is about striking a balance between, well, not losing and winning, but in a weird sense, if you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, we know obviously our shortcomings in years gone by, the dreaded 1-1 draws, or even the games in hand, those types of things that we haven't been able to get over the line. But like I say, we're probably on a better, obviously we are on a better step forward now. We are winning a lot more games than we've done previously. I would say now the challenge is maybe the games, if you change the Portsmouth game and the Rotherham game to draws, and then maybe say, I don't know, the Charlton and the Burton game were maybe just, you're going to lose some games. That's just the way it is. If you just said, we take a point at Portsmouth and we take a point at Rotherham, you're probably looking at a totally different dynamic. I think that's the thing now. If we'd have, I don't think we should go to any game and think, we should take a draw here. But I think in those moments, those are the moments that I think we need to change ourselves and think a point would be good at Fratton Park, a point would be good at Rotherham. If we then go, to Sheffield Wednesday and we pick up a win, which, is more than feasible. And it's about just building on those results and just making them, like I say, slightly better than, just sort of knocking them up one notch, like turning the draws into wins. We seem to be doing that. So now it's another piece of the puzzle to put in there, because like you say, we're not going to win every game. That's just not feasible. We've got a very, very young an inexperienced squad, still learning on the job. Even Johnson said he's still learning,
Yeah.
with the squad. So it is all still a bit of a learning curve, but maybe some pragmatism, in those results, and just thinking, look, let's just sit in, if you've got to play five midfield and it's turgid football for 90 minutes just to get that point on the board, then so be it. We have to accept that. But that's maybe something we need to look at in certainly the next, I don't know, sort of 2-3 months to make sure we are well within, touching distance of the first and second spot.
Yeah. Well, we said before the game yesterday, Dan, that from the next two games, 4 points minimum is kind of what Sunderland should be looking at. Obviously, that's not going to happen now, which kind of makes 3 points on Tuesday even more important. But again, what I said on Twitter was, while 3 points are vital on Tuesday now, it's not just about the 3 points. It's about putting in a top performance after what they did yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. I think if we scrape a win, I don't think anyone would be happy with that. We need a reaction from the players, from the manager, from everyone. Although after that, I don't know where it's coming from. I really don't. I think the lads' heads are going to be gone a bit. I think there might need to be a good few changes for us to see a Sunderland worthy performance.
Yeah.
And I really hope it happens. Now, of course, we're absolutely capable of beating any team on our day. I just wonder kind of where everyone's heads at the moment and what's being said in that dressing room.
Yeah. But, Sheffield on Tuesday, John, how would you approach the game now after a defeat like that? Do you change the setup? Do you change the formation? Do you stick with the same players, albeit obviously McGeady suspended, thankfully? What do you do? Do you rely on them to kind of bounce back, or do you think, well, you've just put in that performance, you've been battered 5-1, could have probably been double figures against Rotherham, have a week out the team, bring some more players in that want to play for a place? How do you approach it?
I think it's a tough one because obviously we don't see them sort of day to day. I think we should maybe go in there and because of Saturday, maybe just solidify us a little bit. I think that Aidan O'Brien maybe in the team would maybe go some way to sorting that out. And maybe think on the wings, I think we would have a nice balance if we had Gooch on one and Deac on the other.
Yeah.
Both skillful, both can get us goals. The only real thing I'm really worried about is the midfield. Can we keep Evans fit enough to play? And then there's obviously the Luca 9 debate, and we haven't got anyone else who can really play right back to release Winchester into the middle. I think we've got to go there, and I think we've still got to look to win. But I'd like to see us be a little bit more solid, pick our moments, and maybe try and nick a 1-0. I'm not sure I'd change the back four, even though they need a massive kick up the arse, as we all know. And maybe even the goalkeeper, I'd probably even keep him in as well, and maybe see if we can get a reaction. It's going to be a big game. This is a sellout by all accounts. Also, there's going to be a real good atmosphere. So we'll see how they get on. The only other maybe side issue is that the players keep getting games in the cup, sort of doing really well, and then maybe we're reverting to type on back in the league. We're sort of automatically sticking back in players like McGeady, and 09 and that type of thing. Whereas if someone in midweek does really well in the cup, why should they then not ride the crest of that wave? And can they bring it into the team? Because everyone's fighting for their place. I don't think anyone should have a starting place in the team. Anybody at all. I think it should be constant competition, and it should be good competition, not just we've got 3 players for that position, so you better play well. We've got these players chomping at the bit, and they are, even the youngsters. We go so far as even, an Ellis Taylor. playing well.
Yeah.
Will Harris, the youngsters we've got so many lined up. I'd maybe like to see a little bit of the rotation, in the league and give those guys a chance.
Yeah. And it goes without saying, Dan, that the first goal in any football game is important. But, after that defeat yesterday, after the defeat against Charlton, I think it's just that little bit more important on Tuesday to get that goal away from home in front of what I think is going to be about 4,000 travelling supporters.
Yeah, we need a weight lifted off everyone's shoulders. I think the fans would relax, the players would relax, E. Johnson would relax a bit. I think it's absolutely necessary. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, the first goal is absolutely crucial now on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move into the player ratings. We don't normally do it after a defeat, but we're always the first to praise people on a good performance, so we're going to be the first to slate them on a bad one as well. I'm going to start with Hoffman John, who I went with a 2 out of 10. Like I say, just the crosses, I think a lot of them goals could have been stopped if you've got a keeper that will come and collect the cross confidently. And I think there was at least 2 of them that were, a couple of yards away from him. Come and punch it, come and collect it, come and do whatever you want with it. But he didn't. He just stood there and kind of watched. And I think there was a few times where Dan Neil or Bailey Wright or Winchester were saying to him, come and get it. And I think that confidence from your goalkeeper, like Dan said before, really does ride through the rest of the team. Distribution from the back put us under pressure quite a lot, especially in the second half, which was just needless. I get that's probably the way he's been taught to play, but there's got to be a point in the game where you realise it's not working or it's hindering us more than it is doing a positive. Just get it up the pitch and get us up a little bit. So I went with a 2 for Hoffman John.
I went for 3, but yeah, much the same. He needs to learn to slow it down. I'm surprised David Priest isn't in his ear, sort of hammering that home. And again, if you're the centre backs, do you really want to be worried that your keeper's not going to come? So that you're in a bit of trouble, because if you're following your man, you're not going to go for the ball. So the ball's going to be in the middle, and obviously that's what's cost us all day. So maybe he's lost a bit of confidence in coming for the balls. Then if he has, that's fine. He's still a young kid. He's still quite slight. He hasn't filled out properly. Maybe the case then is to maybe put back in Burge for a few weeks and just see how it goes. But yeah, it was even the 5th goal. I said I wouldn't hammer him too much, but it's just stupid, isn't it? So yeah, not a good day at the office for him.
Yeah. And Dan, for you on Hoffman?
Yeah, I've gone with a 2 for Hoffman. I think even when you're playing Sunday League, when you learn when the opposition has the momentum, what do? You slow it down, you slow the pace of the game, and he didn't want to do it. He kept playing it out from the back quickly, and when you're 4-1 down, that's not what you want. As your back four doesn't want that. You know what I mean? You don't want to be under constant pressure. That combined with obviously not coming for the balls routed to his line, I just don't think it was good enough. So yeah, I've gone with a 2.
Yeah. Similarly for Winchester, I'll say a 2 again. Just a lot of their play, like I say, came from the wings, whether that be the fullbacks or the wingers, the crosses into the box. As a fullback, I think one of the first things you've got to do is stop the cross, or at least, stop the danger of a cross. And he didn't do that, and he's usually good at that, but he just didn't do it yesterday. So again, 2, John.
Yeah, same gone for 2. I think he was totally overrun. And if he's not getting forward, I think then performance-wise, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think he was helped. I think was it McGeady in front of him for the first half, so he was probably left quite exposed, because we know McGeady's not going to do a lot of defensive work. But yeah, not a good day for Mr. Winchester either.
Yeah. And Dan, for you?
Yeah, 2 for me as well. I think he was just completely overran at right back in the first half, and I actually forgot, but he moved into the middle, I think, in the second half, and he didn't really do anything there either. So yeah, 2 for me.
Yeah. Flanagan, again, just never confident on the ball. When the ball was played to him, just seemed, it was kind of like a hot potato, just kick it. And it always ended up back with them. And, that's where most of their attacks came from. Like I said earlier, just, in the air, I think he was beaten too easily. I think it was Smith up front for them, just beaten too easily in the air. And just, again, just not good enough, really. 2 again, John.
Yeah, same gone for 2. It's welcome back. The old Flanagan. It was he was sort of all over the place for me. Distribution not very good, and just seeing to be bullied and not just even doing the basics. Letting his man just run in front of him across goal. If he gets in front of him, he doesn't score. So it's real basic. But yeah, not impressed.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, 2s all around for Flanagan. It was just like watching him last year, the year before. He wasn't commanding, and he's meant to be kind of the senior centre back or the senior defender in that starting 11, and just didn't show it at all. So yeah, two again.
Yeah. Doyle, I'd probably say a 4. I think he was better than Flanagan, but still not as good as he has been this season. And again, he's one of the younger players. He doesn't have quite the experience, and the fact that he was better than Flanagan, at least for me, kind of shows that the people blaming the kids for the defeat this season are somewhat, I don't want to say out of place, but not necessarily right on that sense. But I'll say a 4 for Doyle, John.
I've gone for 3. I thought it was slightly better than Flanagan. I think he got caught out of position a few times, and we keep saying, "Oh, he's here to make the mistakes," but that's probably not going to wash too much with the season going on. It needs to be better. But I think the whole back line was bullied, so he's just a part of that.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 3 as well. He kind of looked like he didn't know where to be when they were targeting kind of our fullbacks. He just got caught out a few times. Yeah, a 3 for me. Like he was better than Flanagan, but he still wasn't great. So
yeah. Sirkin, like Winchester, I'll say a 2, just fullback, stop your cross, and it's a different game. He didn't. And there was a few times on the ball he looked very nervous as well in comparison to what he's been in recent times. I know there was one time, I think it was in the second half, he just couldn't get the ball from under his feet. He had 2 people on him, and he just ended up kind of just falling over and losing the ball. And he's shown a lot more than that so far this season. And I've said he's getting better with every game. I think yesterday was definitely one of them where he's kind of regressed a little bit. But like I say, I think everyone did in that sense. So I won't go with a 2 again, John.
Yeah, same, gone with 2. I think he was probably targeted as maybe one of the weaker ones, and they've absolutely done him. And it probably rubs off on the whole of his performance. He gets caught out where they just sort of flick the ball and he's just stood there watching. And again, doesn't stop across. That's quite basic for a fullback. To get back goal side and stop your crosses. That's the aim of your game as a left back to start with. So he hasn't done that. But we'll maybe give him it because he is young. He has been decent this season.
Yeah, and done.
Yeah, 2 for me as well. Just completely overran all the time. I actually think there was one point early on in the first half he glided by. I forget that winger's name for Rotherham. He's actually very good. He glided by him easily, and I thought, oh, like okay, he's back in the game now. He'll start playing. But no, he didn't. He was just couldn't stop the crosses. It didn't look like he wanted to get goal side or stop the crosses. So yeah, 2 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien, everyone's favourite midfielder. Apparently not. Don't know why. But again, if there's anyone listening that wants to make a bit of money, even if that's a couple of £, stick a tenner on O'Nien to get carded in the game that he plays in, because it's guaranteed to come in. Another needless foul, just didn't need the yellow card. And again, just like everyone, didn't do anything in the game, was poor, beaten to the second ball too often, and just not at it again. So again, 2, John.
Yeah, same one for 2. I was even moaning about him the other week with the stupid booking. He loves a stupid one. We're going to need, like I said, we're going to need those one like little professional foul, every now and again. And he's playing in midfield. You've got to be a little bit more savvy than to give away just needless ones. Even we'll get onto McGeely's ones, but just stupid. And in midfield, I think he's quite a limited footballer. Lots of effort, but effort doesn't get you anything, unfortunately, playing for Sunderland. So, yeah, we'll stick with the 2.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, my girlfriend's going to absolutely kill me for this, but I've gone with a 1. I've gone with a 1 for 09 this week. I just don't think that type of game doesn't suit him at all. I don't know if it was the system or just the way Rotherham were playing. I don't think he suited that game at all. And like you can't question the lad's effort. You can't question his commitment to the club. No, like excellent for that. But just the needless bookings week in, week out, it's not okay to do. And it's not the type of game that he'd thrive in. So yeah, he was woeful yesterday.
Yeah. Dan Neil, again, another young player that probably one of the better players. I think that's probably an over-exaggeration a little bit, but certainly not one of the worst players on the pitch. I think it's probably a better way to say it. I'll probably say a 5 for Dan Neil. I think when he had the ball, he played some decent stuff, got the assist for Stewart's goal. He's still learning the game. He's still young. The piece that I did for the Echo earlier this week, I think that's his 15th senior appearance, since he joined the first team. So he's still learning. But even again, like I said with Doyle as well, the fact that he's still learning, he's still young, and he's still outperforming some of these senior players spells out the issue for me, at least. But I'll probably say a 5, John.
Yeah, I'll probably go for 5. Good driving run that helped set up the goal. Still a few neat touches, but if we're getting totally overrun, like we were, I'm not quite sure Daniel's the player you want in there. You sort of need maybe 2 sort of absolute units in there, so it's not really the game for him. So yeah, I've gone with 5.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I've gone with a 4. Obviously, he showed how good he can be with his play to set up the goal, and kind of flashes of quality here and there. But just the game didn't suit him. Didn't suit any of our players really, did it? But yeah, I think we need more from him in so far as getting back and helping out and the hard work side of things defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 4 for me.
Yeah. McGeady, I would say a 1, but that's probably optimistic to say a 1. Can we do a half? Go with a half out of 10. Again, the senior player, he's been there, he's done it all. The captain of the team in them situations, if there's one person you look to kind of, get you going again and get you back on track, it's going to be your captain. And when you get 2 yellow cards in the space of what was, I think, 10 minutes, the second one, like I say, was a needless challenge. No chance of getting the ball. The only thing I can think when I see that tackle is he didn't have the bottle to see out the rest of the game. He didn't want to face the stick of, being on the pitch for the next 45 minutes and just took the red card. That's the only way I can see it. So I can't even really give him a rating, John. But I'll go with you.
Well, yeah, I'll just give him the lowest. We'll just give him a 1 because he put the captain's armband on correctly. That's about the only thing he did. He did correctly all day. You're looking for him. We keep going on about how many young players we've got. They're all looking up to this man. He's a captain for the day, part of the captain's group or whatever you want to call it, and just not leading in any way, shape, or form. No, no threat in attack. Hasn't really been all season, I don't think. It didn't help his fullback up enough, in Winchester, which again puts us on the back foot. And then, like you say, gets a stupid booking. We hammer 09 for it every week, so why not hammer him? And then he's never winning that ball. That ball's not gonna come into the box all of a sudden. They're gonna score. So there's no need to do it. And like you say, I think it's a bit cowardice to think, fuck it, I can't be bothered. And that's what it seemed to me. As soon as you can see him sprinting, there's no need to go and do that.
I've watched it back as well. He knows what he's done. He's made the tackle. He started walking off the pitch.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, of course it does. It's just cowardice for me. Whereas I'd rather he went up to Johnson and just said, look, I'm struggling. Take me off and put someone on there who is going to give. All right, we know the result's probably gone at that point. But give someone else a chance. Give the rest of your teammates a chance. And for me, I wouldn't have him as captain for the rest of the season. And he'd be very, very lucky to start a game, barring any absolute injury crisis, because that's unforgivable. We've slated Embleton, for what he's done. So yeah, I wouldn't with McGeady. I'm not having that at all. And yeah, he's gonna have to work very hard to get in anyone's good books, I think.
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, the scale doesn't go low enough for rating.
Minus.
minus 5 million. Yeah, I think you have said all that needs to be said. And needless red card, no bottle, just didn't want to be there. And captain or not, it's unacceptable. It's even worse that he had the armband on at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, lucky we didn't do the podcast yesterday, or it would have been way nastier. But yeah, no, you have said all that needs to be said on that.
Yeah. What was his first yellow card actually for? Because I must have missed that in the second half.
I think it was another dumb tackle. It was just after half time, I believe.
Yeah, I've checked on Sky Sports. It was in the 46th minute, but I just
Yeah.
couldn't remember.
Was it like a shove or something?
Yeah, it was something stupid. It was no need
Really?
for it. I don't think the cameras even picked up on it. It was off the ball sort of thing.
Yeah.
Either
way,
he didn't want to be on
not
the pitch,
ideal.
did he?
Yeah. Embleton back in from suspension, and like everybody else on the pitch, bar maybe one, just did nothing. And with attacking players, I think it's somewhat harsher when the ball was just never getting up into that final third, especially in the second half, but just didn't really work hard enough, I don't think, off the ball to kind of win it back. And I think I've seen that quite a lot this season from him. Very good player, very good technical player, but I think that kind of 09 work rate a little bit wouldn't go amiss if he had it. But again, didn't really have any impact. So 2 again, John.
I've gone with a 3. I think you've hit the nail on the head with maybe the work rate, and if we're not playing up high enough, then he's not really going to be involved. But he got a few good shots away, but yeah, not really. I haven't been impressed with him for a while now. I think the first couple of games he was good, but it seems to have dropped off since then. Obviously, he's only just back from the red card, and like we say, we didn't really see anything. So yeah, it's gone with a 3.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, 3 for me as well. I think he hit the target a few times, but he just had no impact on the game. There was no impetus out of him. Just work rate wasn't good enough. Didn't get back. Didn't really help out the team in any way. I know that he's a creative guy, and he needs the ball to do what he does, but it just didn't work hard enough for me. So yeah, he's been poor now for a little while, and I really expected more of him.
Yeah. Dayaku, again, probably a 2. Just didn't really see much of the ball. The only thing that I really remember him doing was falling over, which kind of spells it out. That was the only real thing that he did. I think he still has potential to be, something this season. He hasn't exactly set the world alight so far. His decision making is still a little bit off. There is times where you just question whether he's actually got the ball under control or not. And it reminds me a little bit of Duncan Watmore when we had him, where he'd run with the ball, but didn't really seem to know what direction he was running with. But again, I just probably a 2, John.
Yeah, same, gone with 2, and I think it summed it all up, didn't it? When someone just passed him the ball out, it was a simple control and literally just fell over and it went out. That summed the whole day up for me. I think maybe he's not a type of player you want, same as the Portsmouth game where it's going to be a bit of a battle. I think he's not that type of player. So maybe it's a safer bet of bringing him off on the bench, but obviously with McGeady's suspension, that's not going to happen. So yeah, he needs to step up a bit and maybe work on his defensive work as well. You go both ways, up and down, not just forward. Like Bayern Munich players would like to do. So yeah, he needs to work on that. So yeah, not a good day for him either.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, 2 for me. I think he did put a dangerous ball into the box, put it into a dangerous area, but other than that, he didn't do anything. I think that he needs to realise he's not in Munich now. He needs to work off the ball. And he needs to get back, because this is League One. It's completely different kettle of fish. And I know he's obviously not used to playing this sort of football, but yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And if he wants to really have an impact on this league and this team, he needs to work harder than he did yesterday.
Yeah. We'll end on somewhat of a high, at least I would say so. I've went with a 6 for Stewart. Took his goal well, hit the post with a good effort. That could have completely changed the game had that been, an inch further to the left, to the right. I'm not sure which way you want to look at it. But again, as an attacker, just had nothing in the game. We never got the ball up there, really. There's a few times I think he kind of lost a 50-50 or lost a second ball that he could do better with. But ultimately, I don't think you could really slate him too much for yesterday's performance. So I've went with a 6, John.
Yeah, same with him, 6. Like you say, we can't really slate him, for lack of service. The one time he does get service, he puts the ball in puts the ball in the net and hits the post on the other time. I think he's probably a little bit underrated when, because the amount of free kicks we just kept giving away. I think him dealing with them was probably a little bit underrated because we haven't got many big lads back there ready to stick their head in. So yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Yep. And last but not least, Dan.
I've actually gone with a 7 for Ross Stewart. I think to come out of that game with any sort of credibility shows how well he did play. Obviously got the goal, really good goal, and that shot off the post that could have changed the game. I actually think he could have benefited from someone else up top with him, the likes of maybe O'Brien or even Broadhead. I know he's injured, but Broadhead I think would have done well, kind of do a bit more work for him up there.
Yeah.
But yes, a 7 for me. I think he'd benefit from a strike partner in games like that.
Yeah. We'll skip man of the match since we've only given 2 players over a 3 rating. But looking ahead to Sheffield, John, I don't really know who's fit. I would like to think Broadhead. Actually, I don't think he is fit, is he? I think someone said it was next weekend he might be fit. And hopefully he is, because I think he offers something different to the team in an attacking sense. So hopefully not long till he's back. But McGeady will be out, so I'd imagine Diaco will definitely start, and probably Gooch, who again I haven't been his biggest fan this season, or the last 2 or 3 seasons really. But predictions for Tuesday, John?
I'll go for a gritty 1-0 win, and I maybe just think we might be a little bit more balanced with McGeady out of the team.
Yeah. And Dan?
I'm going to go for a 3-1 Sunderland. I'm going to go optimistic.
You've got
I
me
think
beat.
they've had 4 draws in a row now. I think they conceded late there against Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And we never looked in any trouble at all against Cheltenham. So if my maths is correct, we should win.
Yeah.
Of course, this is Sunderland, so we don't do things the normal way. But we'll see. I'll go with a 3-1.
Yeah. Well, we will see, and hopefully it's not as depressing a drive home from this one, for myself and many others. But that is the time we have for today. Appreciate you both coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
No
for having me.
worries. We'll be back again on Wednesday to talk about, to either talk about the win or rant after a defeat or a draw, probably, at this point of the season. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.